What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we're doing our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors, business owners, and the cryptocurrency world, where we feel like crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next few years, and it's not even close. So we got a little bit of a late start today, but welcome. We're pumped to have you guys on. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here, and just having a beautiful time with all you lovely ladies and gentlemen on this cryptocurrency journey where we're going to use it as a wealth creation tool and then use real estate down the road as a wealth preservation tool. And yeah, pardon our tardiness, we were actually talking about making money. And that's what we usually talk about when we're not on screen. Is either how to make money in the real world, or we're talking about crypto. So we got a little tied up on some money-making ideas, but we're here for you guys. We'd love to talk a little about what your guys' thoughts are on the Richard Heart versus the SEC. We see him tweeting out some pretty crazy, case law, and he's obviously doing some pretty serious homework on the whole SEC versus crypto in general, not just SEC versus Richard Heart, but the crypto spaces in general, because really that's what it is. It's an attack on the whole entire space. And it seems to me that he's getting ready for the fight. Which does not mean we're going to draw out for 2 or 3 or 4 years. It just means that it opens up, the potential now for the SEC to fight back. They open up communication channels and actually negotiations when this starts to happen, because he's going to come back and say, "Hey, we're not going to take X, Y, and Z. We're going to go to court." And then they might say, "Hey, well, what if the settlement is this?" And then that's how it kind of. I know this because I've been in a few lawsuits myself, and where we were suing the other person, and then halfway through, the attorneys come to an agreement, or a quarter of the way through, where we end up settling outside of court. Anyways, in fact, I would say probably about 80 to 90% of the time, that's usually what happens, is people end up settling out of court before going all the way, just because it's so expensive. At least for, even for myself, it was very expensive to carry an attorney all the way through multiple court cases, because that's where attorneys make the most money, is when they're in court. They love it. They get rich doing that. It ain't writing up demand letters and stuff like that.
They say the only people that win in a lawsuit is the attorneys, and that is absolutely accurate in my experience.
That is 100% factual, and they don't mind how long it drags on, because their pockets are getting just loaded during that time.
Right. And I think that's a really good point. So in addition to what you said, so I've only had to go to I've only been in one lawsuit before, and the lawsuit was such where I had another investor that's trying to steal a property from me that I'd signed an agreement on to purchase. Yep. And they were trying to steal it out from under me, and it was a heck of a learning experience. And gosh, this frickin' went on for I think it was really close to 2 years, if I remember correctly. And it was interesting because throughout that process, everyone's getting worn out, everyone's getting worn down, and getting to a place where they're at least oftentimes more open to settling the case, to just freaking move on. You're having attorney bills mount, you're emotionally distressed and frustrated over the stupid thing. And I, with that being said, I think that it's more likely that this takes a couple of years than it is less likely. I think it's going to take some time. And the thing that gives me a lot of hope is we saw it with, in fact, I think it's you, Corey, that posted it in our Telegram this morning, where you saw the chart when the SEC, you actually saw a pretty decent price chart during the bull market, where it pumped. I think it did a 10x from bottom to top, which is decent. You know what I mean?
Well, especially for XRP, because they're multiple billions market cap. I don't know how big it is to be exact, but they're much larger than us.
Yes.
Talking about larger than us in our total ecosystem, right? If you put all 5 of our cryptos together and make one coin, essentially that's what we are, guys. I don't care what else. We're just one. Like one might lag once in a while, but that's about it. But right now they're 5 and 1, and so like even with all that put together, they're a multiple billion market cap. Plus, most of their buy pressure was coming from U.S. centralized exchanges, and even with the muting of all the centralized exchanges, they still did that 10x. Like that means outside buy pressure, whether it was actually on chain, which I don't know I don't know if XRP has like a DEX. I don't know if they do or not. I'm not familiar with enough of their blockchain, or obviously international like OKX or something like that. Type of exchange, maybe that's where some of the buy pressure comes. But we don't have that problem because we're not listed on exchanges. In fact, we never really have been. We were on one, and then it wasn't really a big deal. But it's. I don't think we're gonna. Of course, it's going to affect us a little bit, but I don't think it's going to affect us nearly the amount that people really think it's going to affect us. Not to mention also, and we've had this conversation before, Dane. Anytime we onboard a no coiner, and usually the real estate guys we're talking to, and usually with the real estate guys, they're always looking for alternative investments to go put their money to work. It's just kind of where their thought processes are always at, and so they've always looked. They've at least looked at the space of cryptocurrency, and almost every single time when we have a call with these guys, it's. What they're asking about is not Bitcoin or Ethereum, which is really odd because those are the big granddaddies of the space, and you would think that's what like everyone would still be asking about. Hey, are you buying Ethereum? What's no, you don't hear that. Or even like Solana, and Solana did really well in the last bull run, right? It did multiple thousands of X's. We always hear XRP. Every single time, like clockwork. Or you guys investing in XRP? And this is before they won the case. I'm talking before they won the case. Everybody would always ask, are you guys investing in XRP? What about XRP? Or they go, oh, I hold a little XRP. I would like to do something else. I would like to invest in something else, but I don't know what else there is. Like this is the same conversations that we had over and over and over again. That's because the SEC gave the publicity that XRP, that they wanted, right? And they probably will pump pretty hard in the next bull run because so many people know about them because of the SEC. So keep that in mind as we're going through all this. It is a lot of marketing and publicity. Obviously, we'll get the full effect of it when Richard Heart wins it, or if they do settle. I hope they do reach some kind of settlement like halfway through or a quarter of the way through. Most cases do resolve in a settlement at some point in time. It could take up to 2 years, Dane, like you said. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of it can happen. It can be anywhere. It can happen when the court cases start. It can happen, within a few months of just a settlement happening out of court, or all the way up to a couple years of the case going all the way through. I don't really think the case will go all the way through to the end. But I could be wrong too, because XRP did. So who knows?
In fact, I think XRP and the library case are the only ones that did. I believe everybody else settled.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess the more recent, there was 2 other cases that were won. The Grayscale Trust case. I don't know if that was because of the judge ruling saying, hey, SEC, you treated Grayscale unfairly by not looking or approving at their ETF, and that you're now looking over here at BlackRock's ETF, basically. And so that was a case one. And then I think also the Uniswap. That I don't know if that was a settlement outside. I can't remember. Maybe you could find the news on that. But the Uniswap with the shit coins that they were listing, and the SEC was going after that. That was a rather smaller. I didn't even know that was going on. So it was a smaller case. When they won it, I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, which made sense why they didn't want to list Hex at the time, and then now they're listing Hex again, which all makes sense. because they didn't want, any more, give the SEC any more ammo if they were going to, for some reason, that lose the case. You don't want to give them any probabilities of, any kind of evidence. So, yeah, it's interesting. The cool part is, man, Richard is freaking doing his homework, huh? This guy is like, he is like spitting it out. Like, you would think he's an attorney at this point.
I mean, do you think Richard would defend himself in court?
That would be kind of hilarious, dude.
Oh man,
I wouldn't want it.
Wild.
I would not want it. I want to see an army of attorneys with them.
Yes, agreed.
Like, okay, Richard, give your input, but give your input in through the attorneys and let the attorneys do what they're supposed to do.
Right. Oh man, I'm hopeful. So once again, to recap, I'm with you. I think it's more likely than less that at some point it settles, so it doesn't go the full distance. I'm hopeful it freaking settles early next year. That would be, that'd be excellent. I don't know if it could be wrapped up that quickly. We'll see how far.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in a lot of respects, it's going to be how far does Richard want to like push the envelope? You know what I mean?
I know he wants.
And the SEC as well.
It's pretty obvious what he wants. He probably doesn't give two crap about the $12 million. What he cares about is that, they want him to basically be muted on cryptocurrency forever. Like basically, get rid of his free speech on crypto. Like that ain't going to go. Like if they go into negotiations and at one point they'll go, okay, look, it's what do they call it? A no fault judgment or a no fault settlement. Sorry. A no fault settlement. Whereas, hey, you go and do you like normal, but you still got to pay a $12 million fine. And then, we're not going to go any further in court. I think that would stop it. I think he would settle for that. I'm speculating again. I have no clue. Maybe he does want to fight it all the way to the death to prove a point because the guy does have an ego. We all know that. And so maybe he does want to fight it all the way. I hope not. I hope if he got the no fault settlement option on the table that he would take that and put this to bed and then he can continue doing what he does and he can start live streaming again and that would be a blast. I would love to see that, it's like Q1 like you said next year. Can you imagine right around the Bitcoin halving that happens and we would freaking moonshot so quick.
I mean that's the fun part to talk about. Like think about the most bullish scenario here that could occur. So the most bullish scenario that could occur that I would say is relatively within the realm of possibilities, reasonably so, is that they figure out some sort of Richard settles early next year, early to mid next year, with a no fault judgment of some sort. And Richard's able to come out, live stream again, talk about all of his stuff.
Woo!
I mean, that would, and we're in the thick of a potential bull market. I mean, hold on to your seats. I think that would be absolutely wild. And then you could start to potentially get some of these moon mass scenarios that a lot of people have speculated on.
Yes.
That would be nuts. And I think that there's, I think there's a decent chance. I don't know if I'd give it, more than 50%, but I think there's a decent chance that could occur.
Yeah, sure. I give it a 50-50. We just don't know I give it a 50-50 of not knowing the timing.
The problem is the timing.
Yeah, I don't give it a 50-50.
Whole thing.
Yeah, I don't give it a 50-50 of happening before like Q1 of next year. I mean, there's a probability of that happening, but that's not like, because that's just very, very optimistic, and it's just not. It's unrealistic.
Well, I don't think Richard's even been served yet.
We don't.
I don't think they've even found him.
We don't know that, do we?
I mean, from some of the chats that I've seen, I listened to one a few days ago.
He's got a court case.
Well, but my understanding, and you guys in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, and if you know better. But my understanding is that it's just a call, like a call.
How can they summon him to call a teleprompt court case without being served?
Well, that's the thing is they can't. If he hasn't been served, then he can't. Then then why would he show up? And so my understanding is that the call, and is it October or November? I think it's November, right?
November 28th, I think, is the date.
Yeah. So what I heard is that is more a call to circle the wagon. It's a preliminary in the event
Sure.
that they've served him and they can all meet, that they'll meet at that point. If he has not been served, they haven't been able to serve him at that time, then then essentially the SEC and the judge can look at potential alternative ways to try to serve him and get in contact with him and things of that nature. And how, like, I don't imagine that it's particularly easy to go serve somebody in another country. Like, even if he really is in Finland, I think that's where, they're saying that he is. Like, how do you go track down some dude in Finland? I don't think the government is necessarily like on board to say, welcome SEC to our country. We'll let you throw your weight around here. I think they're much more of the opinion, give you the middle finger and, this is our freaking country. We say what goes on around here. And so, I tend to think that that's more likely. And I think that's largely why we freaking haven't seen Richard. Like, I think
is that what happens to the case if they just never can serve him?
Well, there can't be a case, I don't think. I don't think there's like a legitimate case. How can you bring charges against somebody if you can't freaking find them?
Where can we check on this? Or how can we know? Are you guys in the comments? Do you know? I see some smart dudes in here. I see Crypto Sloth. I see, Paul Sachs, Bright Light, Red Squirrel, Kesa. Do you guys know, Drew? Do you guys know where, if this is factual, if he has been served or not been served? Like, what are the facts there, and how we can maybe validate this? Like, that's an interesting thought process.
There's a lot of speculation going on out there. I don't know what's real and what's not.
So you would think that if somebody is served for anything, whether, I don't care if I'm serving you for child support, there should be like a public place where that's posted. Wouldn't you think there would be some kind of like notification, like, hey, this guy was served for this, for this act? Here, Drew says the SEC doxed Richard Heart in their case against him. The SEC probably served him papers to his physical address. Here, I'll put up on the screen. Okay. Served his papers to his physical address. Also, remember the SEC served CZ on Twitter when they could not find him physically. Yeah, that's what So, but on his Twitter, he has
it. He doesn't read anything,
and he has everything blocked.
That.
Like, you can't comment on his post anymore. Before you put a comment, you can't. He has to mention your name. Like, and I'm followed by Richard Heart, and so even if he's following you, you still can't comment. It's like, bro, like, I'm not the SEC. Let me comment. But yeah, this is interesting, man.
Well, on my quick Google search, okay. The plaintiff, what happens if you avoid getting served court papers? The plaintiff will ask the court for a default judgment. Okay.
Yeah, Crypto Slot, I mean, who knows? I don't. Dane probably not, but I mean, no one's came to find me yet. But I'm here if they need to come and find me and prove me that I'm a father somewhere else. I would be open to stepping up to my responsibilities if someone had proof.
Right.
Yeah, Drew doesn't have any hard facts confirming or denying he's been served. Like, what? That's a thing? I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay. Like, but how long do they say like a case is open for if he can't serve you? Like, how long is it like on the table, awaiting you basically? Or do they go like, oh, we couldn't find him after a year, the case is closed? Like, we couldn't find you, it's been a year, all right, dismissed. Who's next? Is that how it works? I mean, how does that work?
See, this is interesting. If you have not been properly served and you don't show up, the court has no personal jurisdiction over you and can't enter a judgment against you. The case can be continued to another court date, and the other side can try again to serve you. I've heard
Okay.
that. I've heard that talked about a lot. In fact, I know that, like for instance, I believe it was Shaquille O'Neal. I think that he was caught up in the FTX debacle,
Sure.
and they kept trying to show up to the studio. I think he was working for like TNT at the time. They kept trying to show up to the studio to serve him, and he would run away. So he's trying to put it off, and they eventually found him and apparently served him properly. But yeah, it's interesting.
Because if it was okay, so if it was me and I had a master plan on, and I have my attorneys all ready to go, they're all geared up. I've been doing my homework. Like I would want to be served quicker so I can get the show on the road. Like, let's get this going. Like, I want to get this going because the quicker we can get it going, the quicker we can get it behind us, and the quicker we can move on with the show. That's the way I think about it. But
Yeah, time and time again, it's been shown that Richard does not think like most of the rest of us, though. That is a fact.
yeah. It's
There's a lot of things I would have done differently with Pulse Chain launch and Pulsex and how that was all handled. Richard thinks very differently than many of us do.
Yeah, this is facts. This is
Yeah.
facts.
But I don't know, like theoretically, if this information is true, that if you're never properly served, that they can't actually bring a judgment against you. I mean, like,
in I don't want to jinx it. Let me knock on some wood. I think that's wood enough. It's not a DOJ case. So, like, a DOJ case, depending, especially on the criminal charges they were, pursuing. A DOJ, I could see infiltrating like a Finland, right? Like another country, and they're like, no,
yeah,
look,
and that's a lot more serious deal.
yeah. They're like, look, you're harboring a mass murderer, or you're harboring a terrorist, you're harboring what, they need to come in and get that. Like, then the country's gonna be like, oh yeah, like that shit, like this guy, we don't want him in our country either. Like, come and get him. Like, I can see that really playing out. But like an SEC thing, like, hey, this guy, he sold some securities maybe on some commodities that have free speech. I don't know.
In fact, it might be more advantageous in that scenario with the SEC trying to figure out what they're going to do right now. It might be more advantageous to be like later in the line than earlier. Because if you're seeing wins and you're like SEC lost, SEC lost, SEC lost, SEC lost, SEC lost, and then it's you, and you're like, hey, look at all this case law.
Right. You have all this to present.
You have a big advantage in that.
Oh,
in that
yeah.
scenario.
Yeah. Oh, that's massive. I didn't think about that.
So maybe that's the strategy right now is you're like, look, I don't want to get served. And theoretically, maybe that's a case where you could just like, it keeps getting pushed off because the judge is like, well, you haven't served the guy. Like, we can't do anything until you served him. You got to find him and serve him, SEC. Well, they can't do that. And it's getting pushed back. I mean, honestly, and once again, maybe I'm just talking out of my rear end here. But I mean, theoretically, if that was your plan and you did that till like, middle of next year or late next year, you gave it, 8 to 12 months, maybe a lot of this crap would already be cleaned up. And so it was like, okay, go ahead and serve me now. And you go in front of the judge, like with Uniswap. It's like, hey, judge, all this case law is here. So obviously, like we should be done. And then they just throw it out. Like,
yeah. And somebody might not be ahead of the SEC no more either. Maybe there's that, speculation that he could be gone. They're trying to get him gone now.
Yeah.
So if that were to happen, that would also be very beneficial for when the SEC did go to court. So yeah, a lot of interesting thought processes. I mean, I'm bullish, man.
Yeah, I'm too.
I'm bullish, man. It's like, I'm so excited to be here with all you guys. This has been awesome. It's continuing to be awesome. Of course, we could still see more blood. We could see more downside. I feel like this is my opinion, no one else's. I feel like we're at a bottom. And if you wanted your 100x, well, now you have an opportunity to get that 100x, where before it was very like, yeah, maybe we can get a 10, maybe we can get a 20 if we're lucky. And now I feel confident. I mean, it's 100x now, and then if he were to win the court case, that's 1,000x.
I mean, it could get pretty bonkers pretty fast with that scenario.
He would have to go with the court. Man, if he won that court case, dude, that I could see all the assets just mooning, man. Oh my God, that would be crazy. It'd be wild.
Kaisa's here though, so we need to give a better clip. So here's the clip. When Richard Hart wins in early next year, 1,000 X's for everybody, 10,000 X's. So like, get your backs back now, because you know what I mean. Some of these guys. I'm just kidding, Kaisa. No, but once again, I think that there's a scenario that I think there's a scenario where the court case could get dismissed or settled relatively quickly, maybe middle of next year, and and we've and we're on our way. That could be super bullish.
It could be super, super bullish. So and if not, man, I still feel like we'll have a nice, decent pump. We'll have gas in the tank, just how the XRP did. I feel like because of the community, and I know we've talked about this blue to the face, right? So many times on this show, the community in the building on Pulse Chain has literally took the bull by the horns and is pushing it forward, and we will have some face melting gains in the bull run because of that one reason alone, is because of our community, because of the builders, because of people like Buck and Alex and Power City and Mintra and all these guys that are building. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're not out yet. Well, they're waiting for the Oracle. So like, wait till the Oracle come, which is obviously going to be, I think, this month. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I know PulsePot's supposed to launch on October 2nd. And PulsePot needs the Oracle. They have to have it. There's no two ways about it with that protocol operating without an Oracle. So like, I feel like we're going to have I know we mentioned this yesterday, but like a DeFi fall, if you will, like instead of a DeFi summer, that October, it's really going to start taking off. So I'm excited, man, what's going on. And I've never been more bullish.
Yeah, that's a good question. From Liam, do you think a settlement would put a money target on the backs of other projects which ran sacrifices?
I mean, depends on people want to report it.
Exactly. If people That's the hard thing is the freaking SEC will give you 30% of the 30% of the takings if they settle. That's the part that freaking eat at me the worst if I'm Richard. Like the 12 million, is that really a big deal, Richard? The money itself probably is not. But the fact that freaking, what is that? 30%? Is that it's like 12 million, right?
Well,
no. I apologize. Of the 12 million.
Of the 12, right. Of the 12
4 million goes to the people that reported it. Oh gosh, that would just eat at you. Yeah. That would be annoying.
It's the wrong way to do things, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. Is there, I don't know. My opinion, and once again, we could be totally wrong on this one. I think that frankly, I think Gary Gensler's time is numbered. And I think that we'll see changes to that department next year, potentially. Maybe it's end of next year around the election cycle, or maybe it's early the following. I just don't think Gary's going to be in there a lot longer. I think there'll be a lot more clarity around crypto and the SEC, ideally next year. And I think that will bring safe harbor to a lot of these different protocols. I mean, look, if you can perform, that's the thing right now. Is like I find it incredibly frustrating that a lot of these protocols that raised over $10 million. They've had over 18 months to produce a product. And whether that be enough time or not, I don't know. I'm not a developer. But it's the fact that many of them, when you try to have some accountability, they don't want to say anything, or like they go silent. And
Hmm.
like, look, I mean, we've had business ventures that didn't go particularly well, and I would love to have gone back and changed those things. But I tried in those times to explain to the other people involved, hey, like, here's what's going on and here's what we're doing in order to address this to the best of our ability. We feel like this is the best reason to move forward. These are the people, the other experts that we've talked to in order to inform us on this decision, and this is why we're doing it. And that tends to like keep people relatively satisfied. I think the whole handling these projects where most of them don't say shit about what's going on in the background is a terrible look.
Or
And
some of them, there's one of them I won't mention, that's trying to pull off the whole Richard Hart outrage
come on,
marketing.
man,
Like you're
what are
doing the
you doing?
outrage and you still haven't delivered a product yet. And I don't know what the effect of that is, or what his desired effect is out of that. But yeah,
It's a
I didn't
bad look.
I didn't sacrifice for that project, so
No, me either.
I'm actually happy I did now, because they raised a lot. They raised 15 million.
Yeah.
I like being this. I like being able to sacrifice a little bit and getting a lot, like I did for Pidius, dude. Pidius was awesome. A little bit got me a shark position. I'm like, hey,
Exactly.
that's a good spot to be in. That way, if it does take off, man, I got in at the lows, and yeah.
I'm just joking. No, we appreciate everything you do. In fact, if you guys aren't following Kaiser on Twitter,
He's
you need to
awesome.
make sure that you do some of the best clips, so you can get the best information. Doing just excellent work there. We really appreciate Kaiser.
Yeah.
Yep. So on another positive note, it sounds like the PH team is trying to launch Fame next week.
It's good.
Testnet tokens are available. You can go and mint your own testnet tokens on Fatty if you sacrifice for that one, and you can go and try out the testnet, which is cool. Theoretically, that they're pushing for it to be released next week. The PH team, man, the PH team is unique. Those freaking guys. I don't know how the output is so high. I think they only have 2 devs.
Dev 1 and Dev 2.
Yeah,
that's what they're called.
I'm like, they're gonna have 2 for all that we know. They have 2 devs, and they produce three different protocols, 2 of which are out right now. Sounds like the third will be out next week.
Before almost everyone else.
All the while, these other freaking guys I find it incredibly frustrating. And and it is what it is. I think that it'd be really beneficial to the community in general. Is just explain, even if the answer is like, oh, we had a bunch of setbacks. Oh, part of the team quit. Oh, we had we had a developer try to steal content or code, and we had to deal with that. Like, give us something. I think most people are understanding, but the whole just staying silent is stupid. And some of them, I've seen some of the guys and other protocols, that, well, yeah, that's my opinion. I could talk all day about that. I think it's really frustrating.
Oh, man.
But the time will come. Yeah,
Yep.
Red Squirrel. No way Richard settles. I mean, there's a time and a place for everyone to settle. We'll see.
I mean, if he got a no-fault settlement, Red Squirrel, you don't think it'd be wise for him to settle on that? A no-fault settlement, meaning that you didn't do anything wrong, but here, just pay us the stupid $12 million. $12 million ain't nothing for Richard. I mean,
well, especially if you could settle and it's no fault, and you're like, my assets that I hold an enormous amount of can go on a rocket ship if we do settle. Like,
there's a compromise, or a justification at that point for, just settling and moving on, as long as you got the no fault part. And it could happen. It could absolutely happen.
And it could take 5 years if Richard wants to fight this whole thing out, man. It could take 5 years, like XRP. I think XRP was a 5-year thing.
That was 3 year. I think it was 3.
I don't think
But
so. I'm pretty sure it was more.
any of you guys know in the comments how long XRP's fight was for? See if anybody knows.
It's still bowing. Yeah, it's still bowing to the SEC. But like there's a saying that I love. Not everyone loves this, but I think it's really pertinent. Like a lot of the time you could either be right or you could in real estate you could either be right or you can make some money. And
Yeah.
that time and time again where you had to pick your ego or you had to pick a paycheck. I would much rather pick a paycheck. And so, we'll see.
You can either be right or you can make some money. Yep, that's that is pertinent to all business in life. It's
Yep. They say it in marriage too. You could either be right or you could be married. Yeah. Yep. I think that is an accurate description for most people. All right, cool guys. We appreciate you tuning in today. It's always helpful to have your feedback. Lots of very smart individuals on the show, and we appreciate you guys coming here. You guys make the show what it is, and we're here to pump everybody's back. So if you haven't already, smash the like, subscribe. All that stuff is really helpful. And if you have an interesting story to tell or interesting insights that we haven't been able to cover or nail down well, DM us. Like, we'd love to have you guys on to be able to talk about some of this stuff more in depth.
3 years,
and we could get into it.
3 years. Bright Light Ripple started in 2020. That's what I thought. So 3 years. So yeah, and guys, to that, your point of if you have something interesting, come on our show tomorrow. We have open mic days on Friday. It's one of our favorite shows that we like to do because we get to integrate with you guys, the community, who's really what is making our show a success and Pulse Chain a success. So we want to talk, whether it's about crypto, we can even talk about real estate. We do not mind. Come on tomorrow, and it's a lot of fun. So
absolutely. Cool, guys. With that, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you guys.